The home of British Motorsport is the location for rounds 4, 5 and 6 of the GB4 Championship. Round 4 took place yesterday. We had round 5 of the GB4 due to take place earlier, but the race was abandoned due to the wet conditions. The stewards deeming that the track was unsafe for the drivers to go out. So we are going to have round 5 of the GB4 Championship take place this afternoon. Round 6 will be hopefully rescheduled for a later date. So this round 5 race will go off the qualifying times from yesterday. It will be the second best lap times that will set the grid for this race. So we've had one race so far that took place in the dry conditions yesterday. My name's Chris McCarthy. I'm going to be your host. Before we get the thoughts of Piers Pryor, who will join me shortly, let's catch up on what happened on yesterday's action with some highlights.
Highlights from round number 4 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, would see Finn Harrison starting from pole position. Brandon McCacken, though, would have a stall on the grid right down to the rear of the field. He'd go, be able to get back going again, and would close up to the rear of the group. And meanwhile, the two Graham Brunton racing cars are going side by side through that first complex. They go through Magnus Beckers and Chaplin. Unfortunately for Harry Burgoyne Jr. in the KMR Sport Car, it was him that would go straight through Magnus Beckers and Chaplin. We'd be able to only lose a couple of positions whilst rejoining this fight, where we have a big send to the inside. Alicia Palmovsky with an almighty move going down into Stowe. She'd get also the up and under on Wilson coming out onto the Hamilton straight as well to move up inside the top 5, and was able to maybe set her sights on going to grab an even bigger position a bit further up. Meanwhile, Brandon McCacken goes straight around the outside of not one but two cars going down into Brooklands as well, going a little bit wide on the exit, and then continuing the side by side with Wilson. Meanwhile, the battle for the race lead would see Linus Granfors getting to the outside of Finn Harrison, who'd been leading from the early point of the race. Linus Granfors was able to take over the race lead. A bit of a scramble for grip as well for Finn Harrison. Meanwhile, teammate, of course, Palmovsky sat right on the rear end. Palmovsky, though, had got through, and then Marcus Luzio was the next one to get through on Finn Harrison to move up onto the podium, looking for a very first podium in the GB4 Championship for the Luzio.com team. Of course, a privateer entry in the GB4 Championship. They'd all have to, though, settle for positions behind this man here, as Linus Granfors would come through the final corner to take back-to-back victories in GB4. Of course, second position Palmovsky and Marcus Luzio in third.
I think one of the best GB4 races we've ever had there to kick off the action for the second weekend of the 2024 season. Piers Pryor joins me now. Piers, you were in commentary for that one.
Yeah.
I bet you needed a breather after that. That was absolutely fantastic. Jonathan Palmer joined us after round 5 of GB3, and even he said that was one of the best GB4 races he's ever seen.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not usually on lead comms, but I had plenty to do in that one, and it was good fun. I enjoyed calling that one. It was left, right and centre, up and down the field, side-by-side action. Great racing, very little contact, as we actually just saw in the GB3 race as well. So we've had some great racing this weekend at Silverstone. Looking forward to one more good showing.
I don't think Linus Granfors winning by 7 seconds from Alicia Palmovsky, who was then 10 seconds Marcus Luzio behind Linus Granfors, would be a fair reflection of what the race was, because we had 5 for the lead at one stage. We were going 3 wide through some corners. I think we had a whole lap where we were side by side for 4th and 5th place. It was absolutely crazy stuff.
And it wasn't easy for Linus either. He actually had to take 2 or 3 laps and 4 or 5 attempts to get past Finn Harrison, who took the early lead. And unfortunately, Finn Harrison just fell back into 4th place, being passed by his teammate Alicia Palmovsky. And of course, Marcus Luzio all the way up from 11th place. I mean, that shows how much overtaking there was. Luzio managed to go from 11th to 3rd through all the melees and everything like that.
Not the first time, is it, that we've seen this kind of racing in these cars around here? We always see good racing in GB4, particularly around this circuit. What is it you think about this circuit and these cars that seem to merge so well together?
But I think the fact that these GB4 cars, of course, they do have aerodynamics. They've got a front wing and a rear wing, but it's not a huge amount of aero. And they're a little bit slower in a straight line compared to maybe the GB3 cars. So the straights are effectively a bit longer. So combine those two things, you can follow a bit closer, you go right in the slipstream, and then you've got a lot of space to play with, a very, very wide circuit here at Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. It means plenty of space for good racing.
Well, after yesterday's race, I'm sure some of you want to know a little bit more details on how these cars work. Here's Lewis McGlade with some more details on our GB4 cars.
The car the drivers will be taking to in the GB4 Championship of 2024 is the classic F4 T014 car by Tartus. An absolute stalwart of young junior Formula Motorsport, and of course it's powered by that 1.4 litre 160 brake horsepower engine, all the power going to the rear wheels. Brembo brakes all the way around to get the car stopped in these tight and twisty tracks. Of course, the gearbox being 6-speed, still controlled by the steering wheel with paddles on the rear end of that. And of course, the adjustable rear wing. A lot they'll need to do with that. Just the 2 profiles they need to work with to get the rest of the car in order. The tyres for the season still the same Pirellis, and of course they get 6 tyres across the season. That's 1.5 sets for each race weekend. 570 kilos. The car is extremely light, and it definitely dances around all of these circuits. You'll need to get the car right in order by using the twin wishbone suspension to get it right on the mark, and of course the adjustable front wing to put as much aero as you feel comfortable with to take on the race circuits.
Good to hear more on the details of our GB4 cars. Very close racing, as we said yesterday, in what is a joint record entry for the championship this season. Let's see what yesterday's race has done to the championship standings. Very, very tight at the top. He hasn't won a race yet so far, but consistency has been the key for Harry Burgoyne Jr. He's on 101 points, just 2 points ahead of Linus Granfors. Those 2 wins in a row has shot him up the order in the last couple of races. Now 99 for him. Alicia Palmovsky, 2 podiums for her. She's on 83. Then Brandon McCacken, winner from Alton Park, in 4th place. Brandon Templeton in 5th place. Then Callum Baxter, Chloe Grant, Marcus Luzio, one of the best stories from yesterday. We'll come on to that shortly. Then Leon Wilson, Jack Taylor. Let's go Marcus Luzio next, shall we? The privateer, of course, running out of one of the team's tents this weekend, but running with Hill Speed, as you said. We caught up with him earlier in our paddock show. But Marcus Luzio, what a story that was. 11th on the grid to P3.
Yeah, the only privateer this season, and the best showing for a privateer that we've seen in the GB4 Championship. Great to have Hill Speed lending a hand. Of course, they had a lot of success with Max Maserati previously, and Max was helping both with driver coaching and a bit of data. But you know, clearly Marcus driving well, taking all the information he can and using it to the best of his abilities. And to get from, 11th on the grid to 3rd place is a great drive, regardless.
He's done a superb job and put in some brilliant overtakes. He was part of what was a 5-way battle for the lead, Marcus Luzio. So he could be one to watch in this race. It's going to be superb racing, I'm sure, once again. Likewise, involved in that battle was one of the elite motorsport drivers, Finn Harrison. Naomi Newman caught up with him after the race yesterday. Let's hear what he had to say.
Finn, that was a crazy race. Started on pole position. You had to work hard for that. Unfortunately, couldn't quite stick on the podium, but still a good result.
Yeah, it was a good race. It was a lot of hard work. There was a lot of pressure coming on from behind, and I just had to defend as best I could, and just got driven around the outside of one of the corners, and that was it really. I couldn't keep up after that. I did my best to defend them.
You did your best indeed. It was a really good defence. You know, I was complimentary of it on commentary, and you know, you really defended hard, but you also always gave just enough space. And I think that was, you know, it's really important. Of course, last time out Alton Park, you know, a couple of small mistakes crept in, but you know, it was effectively a mistake-free race from yourself.
Yeah, I mean, race with respect. When these single-seaters, you don't want blanging wheels together, one go over, then you got to deal with, is the other driver all right? And it's better to race with respect and race cleanly than to be dirty driver. 100%.
But the race weekend is not over. You've still got plenty of opportunities tomorrow, plenty of opportunities on with 2 more races remaining. Pole position from race 2. What can you do in that one?
Same again.
Same again. You want to go? Surely you want to go better.
Yeah, good start, and let's hope we stay in the lead this time.
And of course, race 3, reverse grid race. What can you do in that? Of course, you're going to be further down the grid. Can you make your way up to the front, potentially even challenge right at the front of the grid? Would you prefer if it was wet or dry?
I mean, in a reverse grid race, I prefer wet, just because you can get more overtakes done quite easily. You haven't got the issue with the aero wash. But let's just see how it comes. Hopefully we can make moves, and shown in defence, we can obviously attack just as well.
Finn, thanks for chatting to us. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Finn Harrison there talking to yourself. Just missing out on the podium, but great recovery for him, because 3 DNFs after the first round. Did a great job. Great qualifying for him, and good for him to come back so well. I think just putting points on the board was crucial for him.
I think it shows great character. You know, a lot of drivers after 3 DNFs at the 3 races of the season at Alton Park, and with a bad start like that, you could really start your season off poorly, and it might set a trend. But no, you came bouncing straight back, double pole position. Of course, we'll be starting in pole position for this race coming up very shortly, and a 4th place. You'll be potentially a little bit disappointed. Of course, he wanted a win, but still, that's a good result to get his season points tally on the board. And then I got another opportunity to go from pole position again today. Was right up there in all the practice and testing sessions throughout this week in preparation for this weekend. So I'm expecting him to have a good result in this one, potentially even his first podium this weekend.
Yeah, he's got the chance. He's going to be on pole position. Leon Wilson alongside. Leaders Grand Prix will be looking to go for the double starting on row 2. Alicia Parmovsky looking to add to that Alton Park wing. Then Harry Burgon Jr. looking for his first win, believe it or not. Marcus Luzio looking to go for the win there, starting a little bit higher up the order this time. What have you made of Leon Wilson's performances so far?
Liam Wilson's been really good, actually. Again, a strong qualifying from him. He was up there and he was fighting for the higher places in the start of the race we had yesterday. Unfortunately, fell a little bit further down the order in that one. So, yeah, he'll be hoping to, basically consolidate the position he's got on the start of the race.
Well, we can see in the background as well one of the races going on at the moment, Ginetta Juniors. They've been flying past us, haven't they? Yep. Every 2 minutes. It takes them a little while to get around this Silverstone GP circuit. Great initiative launch this weekend. MSV and Ginetta combining to give £50,000 for the champion to come up to the GB4 championship. Fantastic initiative, isn't it? It means now £125,000 in prize money overall. I can hear them buzzing away in the background. I think that's got to be part of the reason we're seeing this joint record entry of 16 drivers out there overall, and such fantastic racing.
Yeah, we're going to have the Ginetta Juniors literally coming past us in a second now, but it's one of the most popular junior racing categories for drivers potentially who are too young to race in either the GB4 or GB3 championship or other championships to get into car racing. And then a lot of the Ginetta Junior drivers will step up into GB4 and GB3, and if they do choose to go to GB4, there's that, having won the Ginetta Junior Championship, there's that amazing prize. And you mentioned the other prizes as well, the 30,000 euros, I think, for the top female driver, should they get a seat in F1 Academy, as well as, of course, then the progression to GB3 as well. So much prize money, it's just amazing for the drivers to be able to fight for.
Yeah, we've got that prize as well for the F1 Academy seat, this prize for Ginetta Junior, and then also 50,000 for our champion as well to go on and race in their next single-seater. So overall, 125,000, which is a superb initiative, meaning we've got this record entry, and I think that's why the fighting out there has been so tough between the drivers. We're so early into the championship and only 2 points between our top 2.
Oh, a lot to play for, and it's just an extra incentive, and a lot of these drivers are racing for their careers. They want to be a professional racing driver, and we know motorsport's expensive, and to try and get yourself on the ladder and keep going up the ladder, you need as much financial backing as you can from either sponsors or scholarships and sponsorship from the championships, which we've got a lot of in GB4, which is amazing to see, and hopefully it will see the championship grow and also the field of drivers get ever more competitive.
Well, yesterday, one of the drivers we caught up with who's definitely going to be looking to get in, that is Maya Dionorine. He's one of the drivers who's come over from Canada this season. He's going to be definitely looking to get hold of that prize money. Let's go and hear what he had to say when we caught up with him.
Maya, how did you find that race out there?
It's definitely a good race. Being my first race at Silverstone, I was just trying to find, get in the groove, get down to it, find where the passing spots are. Passed a couple cars, got past, but I think it was a good race for me, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next one.
And lots of tough battles on track. Did you encounter any of those, and how did you find them?
Yeah, I got into a little bit of I was actually a big battle with a couple of cars in the mid-pack, and we were battling, a couple cars went off track, but I think it was a good racecraft experience for myself.
And what will you take from that racecraft experience into tomorrow?
For me, I think I can be definitely more aggressive, just still getting used to the car and the way it twitches through the corners, not wanting to hit anybody, get in a crash, just finish the race and make sure I do well.
Brilliant, well done, thank you very much.
That Chloe Grant there, she's going to be starting down in 7th place in this one. So good starting position for her there on row number 4. see how she progresses through the order for this one, starting alongside Brandon McCacken, just behind Harry Burgoyne Jr. Linus Granfors alongside Marcus Luzio starting in 4th place. What are you making of Chloe Grant's performances?
Yeah, Chloe Grant, of course, raced this championship a couple of years ago, did F1 Academy last year, couldn't secure a seat, again, largely due to funding. It's a really competitive series for the female drivers, and she's building back up again, and it would actually be great to hear it's just good to see her back on the grid, and hopefully she does well this weekend with a good good result in the final race this weekend.
Yeah, well, that was, we'll go and hear from her next, I believe. So Chloe Grant, she's going to be starting 7th on the grid. Let's hear what she had to say.
Great racing out there, Chloe. How did you find it?
It was okay. Definitely not the result that I wanted. I was fighting for P5 in the last lap and tried to make too much of a lunge into the second last corner. Unfortunately, it ended up costing me another position. So P7 in the end. It's not bad when I look at it overall. I think because I've had no testing really, and it's a big step up from Ilton. I was like a second off my teammates, and now to be actually quicker in that race than one of them, and in qualifying only be less than a tenth and 3/10 off them. It's definitely big improvements, but like I said, it's not the positions that I want currently. I want the podiums and I need them. So yeah, hopefully I can do a better performance tomorrow. Just be on it more from the start, don't get caught up in the mid-pack battles and get straight to the front and try battle for the podiums instead. But I mean, it's not bad, but like I said, I would definitely wish I had a bit quicker.
Is there anything like on the track that kind of changed the way that you decided to have your strategy?
Not necessarily. I think I've got a lot more confidence now this season than I had previously when I was in GB4. I have a good backing, a good team behind me, supporting me and giving me a really good car. And I mean, everything that I learned last year from ART Grand Prix, I'm putting into play now, and just being patient and changing my driving style from what it previously was, which wasn't too great. So yeah, I mean, if people that know me closely and have seen what I've been like 2 years ago to now, I'm definitely a huge improvement. But like I said, I want the podiums now.
Brilliant. Thank you very much and well done. Good luck tomorrow.
And there we hear from Chloe Grant, starting in 7th place behind Harry Burgoyne Jr. Just starting behind Harry Burgoyne Jr. Very consistent this season, hasn't he? And that is what he's put him at the top of the championship. Speaking to his parents earlier, they were saying to me, it's just been putting points on the board, hasn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, to build a championship, you really need to just bang in those consistent results, and he's done that so far with plenty of podiums at the first round, and unfortunately not taking a win quite yet, and he'll be looking to just take that little step forward. The KMR Sports teammates have been very close this weekend. They finished all in a line at the last race. Let's not count out Brandon McCacken as well. He stalled on the grid in the first race this weekend, came back to finish right behind his teammate. So yeah, Harry Burgoyne Jr. is definitely one to watch, a second-year driver as well. Not many second-year drivers this season.
He's done a superb job so far. Would you say for him getting that first win on the board would be something he'd want to do just to get that extra bit of confidence? I know getting podiums is a good thing, but yourself as a winner in the GB3 Championship, I'm sure. Yeah, of course. I'll take the money after. But something as yourself as a winner, it just helps, doesn't it? Just give that extra bit of boost.
Oh, absolutely. If you win a race, that's as best you can do, and it really gives you a lot of confidence. And as much as Harry Burgoyne knows he's got the pace to be at the front, and he's shown that both last season and also this season, moving up with KR Sport from so he's going to be looking to take that win. It'll be tricky from his grid position in this one. He's not right at the front, but he's going to where is he starting?
He's P5.
P5, yeah, so he's going to have to pass a few cars to do it in this one. And the conditions are going to be a bit changeable. We're not sure if it's going to be wet or dry yet, but yeah, he's going to be a championship contender at the very least.
Well, let's go and hear from Harry Burgoyne Jr. now. He starts P5 on the grid.
So Harry, P5, that was such good racing out there. How did you find it?
I found it good. We had a really good start to the race. P7 to P4 in the first lap. Got squeezed off the track but managed to keep going. Was in P4 for a while, catching the front three, and then Marcus Lucio came through, just past me and left me for dead. But at the end of the race, we weren't as fast as the rest of them. But in the last lap, I had a good battle with my teammates. So overall, I think it was an alright race, but could have been better.
Yeah, and with that much chaos kind of going on track, how does that affect your racing?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of proper racing going on there, so it's hard to watch. Like, if you've got people behind you watching your mirrors, and then obviously in front in case there's anything happen. But yeah, I think it puts you through your paces when it's like that. Really makes you concentrate that extra little bit.
And what will you take from that race onto tomorrow?
Probably the moves that people were doing into corners, because last year I didn't really get much racing. So yeah, I would say probably moves and just the proper general racing.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well done.
Good to hear from Harry Burgoyne Jr. Looking over the fencing there, Piers. What is your thoughts on track conditions? Now, we're down here, obviously, on the national pitch straight. We don't have much of a view of what the track conditions are everywhere. We just have this little view here. You said touch and go to me about 10 minutes ago. It hasn't rained since then. What's your thoughts? I mean, we only see this little bit here. What are you thinking?
It's looking dry line, but there's still a few puddles offline, so it's going to be a tricky decision for the teams, that's for sure.
Especially in GB4, right? I imagine it gets even trickier. Going into what we were talking about earlier, what's going to be the key for the GB4 drivers? It's going to be getting tyres up to temperature, I imagine.
Assuming we go with slick tyres, yep, getting the tyres up to temperature quickly is going to be the main thing for the drivers to concentrate on, because with the less downforce we have in GB4, they don't tend to go away so much at the end of a run.
If we go for wet tyres, what's going to be the key?
Probably just keeping them cool, so it's kind of the opposite, because it's looking pretty dry out there. We're looking forward to seeing what everyone's gone with on the grid.
Well, that's what Piers' thoughts are on tyre choice. We've mentioned a lot about the track. Let's have a track guide of Silverstone GP.
Let's have a look at the track. Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, some of the most famous corners in the world. The awesome Maggots and Beckett section, and also Stowe completely committed. And then Vale and Club, again, very, very high speed, average over 115 miles an hour in the dry. Very wide, plenty of overtaking opportunities, and a lot of slipstreaming. It's going to be good racing this weekend throughout all three of the races, including that reverse grid race in race 3. 18 turns for the drivers to tackle. And it's a long lap around here, 3.66 miles, about 5.9 kilometres of running, one of the longest laps this year. Not much elevation change, only 11.3 metres, but plenty of camber changes throughout the lap to keep the drivers on their toes. And that is the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Let's ride on board Arden's driver Leon Wilson on a lap around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in the GB4 car. Slightly damp conditions for this lap, so he'll be using some slightly different lines to the dry, staying away from the normal racing line and the entry of Cops. Watching track limits on the exit, you can see the car moving around on the slippery paint. Now, Maggots and Beckett's, world famous, still very fast even in these damp conditions, carrying a lot of speed through the first apex and then sliding the car around through the middle of the left-hander. Now we're just about setting up for the exit of Chapel, because there's a very, very long straight coming up. Hanger straight. This is a point in the lap where you can take a moment to relax, breathe, and in the race there'll be lots of slipstreaming, potentially lots of overtaking here as well. You can see Leon just staying to the inside, trying to keep his tyres cool for the entry of Stowe. Nice and sideways through the entry there, soaring away at the wheel, trying to find the grip, and just about finds it enough to not run wide on the exit. Track limits on the exit there is going to be crucial. Do that too many times in the race and you'll be getting a penalty. Now Vale, nice and slow through the apex, keeping it left to open up the right of Club. Again, track limits on the exit will be watched there by the stewards. Now we've got a long run towards the past the wing and towards the turn 1 for the Formula 1 race, but in this it's halfway around the lap. We're going to do a slight lift and a rub of the brakes in the wet conditions, in the dry, almost completely flat out through there. Now this is all about setting up the entry of Village. Very, very open, very wide overtaking opportunities, braking and turning. Very technical, you can see the car moving around, and then the clumsy corner, the loop. Staying off the racing line once again to get good traction on the exit. We've got another long run all the way down to Brooklands. Flat out as we flick left through Aintree, and again you'll see Leon pulling to the left-hand side just to try and cool his tyres down. Keep those blocks nice and cool so that the tyres don't fall away towards the end of the lap. Braking late and then turning once again into Brooklands. Staying off the racing line once again. The track is really greasy through this final sector. We're then heading deep and wide through the middle of Luffield to try and get some good traction. Not worrying about the second apex as we've got a good exit here. Again, watching the track limits on the exit. Only one corner to go. Woodcote, which is completely flat in all conditions, and that's a lap in the GB4 car around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit.
And welcome to the assembly area, round 5 of the GB4 Championship. So remember, this is the second fastest qualifying times that have set this grid. Finn Harrison on pole position, Liam Wilson alongside Pierce Pryor. Crucially, everyone on slick tyres. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually it looks drier at this part of the circuit than it appeared over by Woodcote. So probably the wind over here has dried it out a little bit, which I imagine means that it's drier over that side of the circuit with the wind kind of blowing this way. And yeah, plenty of dry running. But if you look offline, you can see there are wet patches, so that'll be something for the drivers to keep an eye on and make sure they don't touch those, because on these cold slick tyres at the start of the race especially, that'll be tricky.
Well, everyone can see that the track is dry. It's dry around, but maybe what people can't see through that lens is it's cold.
Yeah, it's not warmed up a huge amount at all at any point this weekend.
There's a reason you're wearing those.
Yeah, I'm glad I brought them, that's for sure, and the scarf.
So what's that going to add to the drivers out there? What's going to have to be the process now? It's going to be a case of getting those tyres up to temperature quickly.
Oh, absolutely. Well, unlike Formula 1, which has tyre warmers and a lot of the championships up the ladder, these tyres must be at ambient temperature, which is about -5. No, it's probably about 5 degrees. But then obviously operating temperature for those slick tyres is up at 70, 80, 90 degrees. So therefore, to get them up to that temperature, the drivers are going to have to work the tyres hard on the outlap to the grid and then round to the start line before they get the race underway, to make sure they can get as much heat into that rubber to make it softer and grippier so that they can affect fast lap times. And that could be the difference between having a mistake at the opening laps, dropping back, or if they do it well, then it could be their opportunity to make positions at the start of the race where there's the most opportunity.
We've talked about getting the tyres up to temperature. We've talked about setup and things. What about the mental challenge for these drivers, Piers? You know, some of them new to single-seaters, some of them racing here for the very first time. They've had all day to wait around. They've had all day to think about this. They've had all day to process how they're going to tackle Copse Corner for the first time. How is it now when you're sat in that seat? Tell us from a former driver in this championship, in the GB3 Championship, what is that like when you've had a long wait? You know, some of the drivers would have been here since about 7 in the morning. They've had a long time to wait for this. What is it like when you're now sat in that car?
Well, it can be tricky because, you know, some drivers are very good at switching off and being like, oh, I'm not out, so I'll relax, you know, chill out, go and get some food, relax, which is a good way to be because you don't wind yourself up, whereas other drivers who take things very seriously, not saying that a lot of drivers don't take it seriously, but if you're thinking about it and keep thinking and ruminating over something and you keep going over it in your head over and over, you can almost work yourself up into a bit of stress, and then all that tension and conscious energy can actually work to give you either more nerves or just make you more tense at the start, so you wouldn't act as naturally. So it's something that the drivers will have to learn how to get the most out of themselves, and this is, you know, it's a learning championship, and these drivers will be using experiences like this up their racing career to hopefully better themselves and reach the highest they can, as high as they can go.
Championship wise as well, we've got our top 2 right together on the grid. We've got our championship leader Harry Burgoyne Jr. P5, and we've got Linus Granfors right ahead of him as well, just 2 points ahead of him as well. Max Maserati, who was with you in the commentary box for that fantastic race yesterday, just wanders off. Of course, he was with Marcus Luzio. There we can see Finn Harrison on pole position. Piers, let's have a wander in, shall we? We can see words going in to Finn Harrison. Nerves, I'm sure, but got that good result on the board yesterday, and that would have been good for his confidence, Piers.
Oh, absolutely. You know, of course, we mentioned it a couple of times. 3 DNFs at Alton Park was about the worst start to his season he could have hoped for. But we know Finn Harrison, he's got pace. He's shown it in testing before the season, and also he's shown it yesterday in the race. Didn't quite have enough to take the win in the end, but he'll be trying to make amends for that. And, you know, on slick tyres, drying track, if he can get those tyres up to temperature, there's no reason why he can't take his first win in this series this season.
And Leon Wilson as well on the front row. No teammates to work with at VRD this season, is there? So going to be tricky for him when you've got no one really to base your setup off.
I mean, that's it. It's less about on circuit because, you know, teammates, as we saw between Finn Harrison and Alicia Parmosky, there's no holds barred, there's no punches held on circuit between teammates, but it's more the off-track stuff that you lack if you have less teammates or no teammates, that Leon Wilson is on his own, because you don't have that data to look at. You can't try separate things on the setup and see what's what. But Leon Wilson doing an excellent job regardless. I mean, putting it second on the grid, great job from him.
it's really a superb job that he's done, and showing that he's learning all the time. Linus, though, I think, what's the tactic going to be for the others? Because we saw when he did get into the lead yesterday, we did talk about how it was a great race yesterday, but the gap was substantial when Linus did get into the lead. I'm sure the words to Finn Harrison maybe is going to be keep Linus behind you for as long as you can. So are we going to see a more defensive approach from those drivers ahead?
Well, Finn Harrison actually put up an excellent defence yesterday, didn't he? It took Linus about 3 or 4 laps to get through into the lead, despite applying pressure, and Finn actually made his way back through after Linus got in the lead once or twice. So, Finn Harrison proven he's good at defence. He just needs to find that little bit of extra pace to potentially pull away or hold off Linus. Linus was clearly the fastest driver yesterday. He took the fastest lap, only 1/10 away from the lap record set by Tom Mills a season or so ago. So Linus will be looking to make it 2 wins from 2, but everyone around him will be trying to avoid that happening.
Let's talk Brandon McCacken, because I don't think we've spoken enough about him. Had that stall, then came charging back through the order.
Yeah.
I don't think we have actually really been able to see what he can do almost. Yeah, the result really wouldn't have reflected his performance. Are you excited to see what he can do in this one?
Absolutely.
As long as he can get a clean start?
Absolutely, of course. Brandon McCacken was the GB4 scholarship winner this season, so coming into the season with high hopes, and was potentially the fastest of the 3 KMR Sport drivers at Alton Park, and brought that forward in a lot of the testing sessions that we had, and then unfortunately in qualifying didn't get the lap time that he wanted to put him towards the front of the field. But having stalled and gone to dead last plus some time, to get back up with his teammates and nearly inside the top 5, a great drive. So if he can get away off the line well this time, which I'm sure he will, then I'm looking forward to seeing him having a fight with the rest of the group.
P8 on the grid is Brandon McCacken. So many things to watch out for. We are almost ready to go racing now. There you can see the drivers getting ready to go. It was one of the best races we have seen in GB4 yesterday. Will we see more of the same today? Round 5 of the GB4 Championship is ready to go. Piers, we will let you shoot off to commentary now. There are the cars ready to go. I think with that, it is time to hand up to commentary as the whistle goes. The cars fire up. Let's go racing for round 5 of the GB4 Championship. Up to commentary with Lewis McGlade and Piers Pryor.
After an absolutely incredible race just yesterday, the season is ready to continue once again. Of course, we've already ticked off Alton Park and the 3 victors of Palmovsky, McCacken and Grand Fours there. A victory for Grand Fours yesterday as well, as we then head to Donington Park, then to Snetterton, and of course back here to Silverstone, hopefully to really cap off what has been an excellent season. Donington Park and Brands Hatch round out the championship, of course. Here at Silverstone, the home of British motorsport, though, after a victory, as I said earlier on, yesterday in incredible fashion from Grand Fours. He has gone back-to-back, won race 3 at Alton Park and race 1 here at Silverstone. It's a circuit which opens up many overtaking opportunities, especially in these cars. That first run down to the Cops, of course, the iconic Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, down towards Stowe, out through Club and onto the Hamilton Straight. The Village Loop section also open for great overtaking opportunities, as well as the run into Brooklands Luffield and out onto the start-finish straight once again. It is a Grand Prix venue, normally classified as maybe even a little bit too large for cars like this, but what that means is we get some excellent racing over the just over 5 kilometres, 3.6 miles around, the 11.3 metres of elevation, the largest drop-off of which is between Stowe, dropping down the hill into the Vale Club section there. All out there on the grid on slick tyres in what is damp conditions. It's not wet, it certainly isn't wet, definitely fine for slick tyres, but it could be a little bit greasy, could be a little bit difficult. Obviously, Lewis McGlade, Piers Pryor back in the commentary booth once again. Thanks to Max Maserati for jumping in yesterday, but yeah, this one's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be difficult conditions to drive in, right?
Yes, It's cold out there still. We saw that just the graphic in the bottom left-hand side of your screen a moment ago showed that it was just crept above 10 degrees, although I'm not sure I believe that. It's still pretty cold, but yes, tyres is going to be, temperature is going to be important.
Well, Finn Harrison taking a second pole position. Liam Wilson, though, on the front row of the grid as well. What can he do from there? Maybe even sneaking a victory. Linus Granfors took victory yesterday. That wasn't from pole position, so maybe he can do so again from third position. Alicia Palmovsky, winner back in Alton Park in the first race of the season, will start from fourth position. Harry Burgoyne Jr. still yet to take a victory, of course, in the GB4 Championship. And Marcus Lucio, after an excellent performance, up to the podium yesterday for the Lucio.com team. Chloe Grant will start from 7th position. Brandon McCacken stalled yesterday. He will start from 8th position. Hopefully some better luck for him today, taking a victory, obviously, back in Alton Park. Mayor Dinarine will start from 9th position with Dan Hickey in 10th. Spirits were pretty high in the Fortec camp when it went down there a little bit earlier on. 11th position for Brandon Templeton and Jack Taylor inside the top 12. Of course, still a couple more rows left to go. Don't you worry about that. With Megan Bruce down in 13th position. Callum Baxter for the Graham Brunton Racing team, knowing that he can go certainly faster. And then the two drivers stepping in for this round. Christian Lester, who we've seen a few times at GB4 Championship over the last couple of years, and Bas Visser on debut for the Graham Brunton Racing team. Expectations for this race, Piers. It's not going to be an easy one for the drivers to work their way through, but considering the pace yesterday, as there is a spin for Bas Visser already, that isn't too much of a surprise considering how slick it is.
Yeah, of course. Bass is a new driver to the championship, so still somewhat getting used to these cars and in these tricky conditions. Easy to spin on cold tyres, and these tyres are stone cold, of course, have to be at ambient, so they'll be at less than 10 degrees as they roll out onto the grid, and you can see the drivers aggressively warming up, staying on the dry racing line as much as possible while weaving, braking and accelerating aggressively just to get as much energy in those tyres. The warmer these drivers will be able to get them before the start of the race, the better they'll get away from the line, the more grip they'll have on the first lap or so, and just a better race they'll have. And unfortunately, Visser just pushing a bit hard on those cold tyres and spinning around, but he should hopefully be able to get that car up and running and back onto the grid very, very shortly for the start of this race.
And I think you answered this question yesterday with Max Maserati, which is about running around the circuit and getting heat into the tyres. That it's potentially a little bit easier in GB3, where you've got more power and more downforce to get heat into the tyres, than it is in GB4. They've got a lot of work to do. These less experienced drivers, it's hard to get that temperature in.
It's probably the most physical point of the weekend is the warm-up lap, and if you end up going under safety car as well, because you're having to saw the wheel left, right, brake, accelerate, saw left, right, and if you do it so much, you can actually start to feel a bit travel sick. I had that a couple of times, but it's so important. You just need to do it, because these tyres, we heard from Max yesterday, if you don't get the heat in the tyres, you're literally going to be a sitting duck at the start of the race. But all of that tyre warming has done. It looks like Visser has joined the back of the grid, so we are good to go as soon as everyone's lined up. It looks a bit drier on the left-hand side, so the odd numbers, so 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, so that would be Harrison, Linus, Granfors and Burgoyne are potentially going to have a bit of an advantage away from the line because their side is drier, but that remains to be seen. A good race up and coming, I hope so, Lewis.
Yeah, I've got absolutely no doubt it's going to be so. GB4 normally delivers, especially around Silverstone, as round 5 of the GB4 Championship about to get underway in tricky conditions. 9, maybe 10 laps dependent on time as we get racing once again. There's a staller of Alicia Palmovsky there for about 5th position on the grid, 4th position rather. She does manage to get back going again after dropping back to 16th position. That is Palmovsky dropping right the way down the order for Elite Motorsports. Huge drama there, but an excellent start from Finn Harrison, who will continue to lead from Granfors, who's worked his way up into 2nd position in the Fortec car.
Yeah, the left-hand side of the grid proving to be a better side to be on, with Granfors immediately leapfrogging our 2nd place driver of Wilson. Wilson's already under pressure from Burgoyne, and Linus Granfors in the Fortec car is already setting out to take the lead. Palmovsky has actually already made her way back past Visser after not losing too much time, but it's side by side for 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th.
Yeah, 3rd, this going around the outside is Harry Burgoyne Jr. trying to make a move in the grey and blue car, but watch the trio of KMR Sports trying to get around that black and white Arden car of Liam Wilson. Harry Burgoyne Jr. has ticked his way past, I believe Brandon McCacken has, but I think it's the 66 of Chloe Grant in the grey and blue car that remains behind the black and white Arden car of Wilson, who's dropped back from 2nd to 5th position. Chloe Grant will probably have to keep her eye on the mirrors as well, because Dion Areen is up to 7th position in that distinctive white car in the background.
Yeah, Dion Areen's had a good start pushing on the back of Chloe Grant, and the 2 KMR drivers of Burgoyne in the number 68 and the Macacan in the number 89 KMR Sport drivers have made their way through. Chloe Grant still just behind Leon Wilson. Oh, it's a spinner. That was one of the Fortec cars.
Might be Hickey, maybe?
Yeah, there you go. The number 17 Hickey. No, Jack Taylor, sorry. Number 17 is Jack Taylor, who's had a spin. Looks like he just got beached in the gravel and pushed through. So, I know it is Hickey.
Yeah, I think it is Hickey. I noticed they're backing out on Park. As here comes a move for the race lead, though. Grand Force to the inside. Trying to make a move in that white and red car. Green helmet, of course. Not able to make that pass whilst Grand Force teammate has been down the escape road. Is going to be Grand Force trying to go for the race lead on Finn Harrison. Able to hang on as we'll complete a lap here at Silverstone and see exactly what the time is. I believe it will be 9 laps of racing. As here we go then to the look to the inside. It is the 16 of Grand Force once again trying to make a move. We'll commit to it in cops. There is definite wheel-to-wheel contact there between Grand Force and Finn Harrison. Finn Harrison in that yellow Elite Motorsports car might have been pushed out wide there, and I think Grand Force is going to come through. What do you make of that one?
That was a close move. I think Harrison probably should have relinquished that position a bit earlier, but also we saw in the background it was Macacan trying to get past his teammate of Burgoyne from 4th to 3rd. Those 2 cars behind this lead battle. We're looking at a 10-second time penalty for number 68 for a full start. That is Harry Burgoyne Jr., so he's going to fall well down the order once that penalty is applied at the end of the race. But it is Linus Grunfus that leads. A good move up the inside, a hard move, but a fair move in my opinion.
I did think I saw one of the KMR Sports cars moving a little bit. I think he was actually on the inside, weirdly enough. I do believe I saw someone moving fairly early, and that must have been Harry Burgoyne Jr. 10-second post-race time penalty for him then, and his chances of taking a very first victory in the GB4 Championship seems to have basically ended before it's even really begun as they work their way back out onto the Lewis Hamilton straight.
Yeah, this it's bitterly disappointing. Let's have a look at that start again. Yes, there it is. Yeah, just a slight move notice. Burgoyne was in 5th place, so on the right-hand side of shot. He was just creeping as the lights went out, and unfortunately that was showing Alicia Palmowski's stall on the grid, but she's actually managing to make her way up the order, already up into 8th place, so a good recovery drive. Only 5 seconds off the lead, so could, in theory, get back inside the top 5, as we saw a wobble from Burgoyne Jr. in the number 68, and right behind him at 89, they're both same liveried cars, is Macacan, who's looking to try and get through. Leon Wilson behind in the dark blue with the white stripe is going to try and pick up any pieces from this move between the 2 teammates, and it is Macacan with the red helmet that has managed to get through.
Yeah, Macacan then up into 3rd position. Harry Burgoyne Jr. relinquishing that, dropping back to 4th. I was going to say, looking at that replay, I'm sure race control will have already investigated whatever, but I will say I think it might be Chloe Grant and it might have been Marcus Luzio as well. I will double check that one. It was Luzio and Macacan. I believe they were very close to a jump start. I feel like they were crawling a little bit as the lights are about to go out, but obviously race control will have already investigated that, and as far as we're aware, have cleared them. Obviously the race continues. Palmowski's worked her way up into 8th position. We can see her here. The race order though, Grand Force our race leader, Harrison, Macacan, then Burgoyne Jr. with a 10-second time penalty, then Wilson, Grant, Dianarine, Palmowski, Taylor and Baxter, your top 10. English Grand Force has set a fastest lap and would like to take a 3rd consecutive victory in the GB4 Championship, and he's looking all the part for it. There will be 7 laps left to go in this one.
Yeah, we can see actually, we're looking at the number 68 there of Harry Burgoyne, who's dropped back from the back of Brandon Macacan, is now in the clutches of Leon Wilson, but we were watching the number 21 yellow car of Alicia Palmowski go through the Maggots and Beckett section, and she was fighting the car in the fastest lap from Granfors at the front of the field, still a good 5 seconds away from the lap record. So as much as it's a dry line around this circuit, because it's so cold and a little bit greasy, there's still a lot of lap time to come from these cars as they heat up, the tyres especially.
But let's be honest, with how these races work, whilst Grand Force might be pulling away a little bit at the moment, the chance of it being caught by the rest of the field, it is still very high. These GB4 races, they are always pretty exciting, and sometimes, we've seen before in years past that it has been, sometimes it can be a little bit of a slow burn, and it all kicks off, especially around here at Silverstone. We've seen some of the best races we've ever seen around here, and yesterday's race is it's a prime example of that, showing the quality of the field and, of course, the racing we get in it.
Oh yeah, it was such good racing yesterday, and it was and hopefully we can get some more good racing today. As actually we're seeing a race for second place. It is McCacken in the blue and grey car trying to go around the outside of Finn Harrison in the yellow car. Couldn't quite make it there, but Harrison's gone deep, so McCacken's now going to look around the outside of Luffield. Can he keep it around the outside? No, he's decided to tuck back in and is going to try and do exactly what Linus Granfors did a couple of laps ago, tuck in the slipstream and get an overlap going into Copse Corner. But will Harrison defend the inside? He does defend this time, but he's going to be on the wetter line. Can McCacken go around the outside? It's going to be a brave move if he does. No, decides to slot back in.
Yeah, no way. McCacken might try and carry the speed through the corner, though. He's actually run out a little bit wide there at Copse, but might have a good run coming down into Magus, Beckes and Chapel to try and maybe make a move, set it up going down onto the hanger straight. Of course, you can see Finn Harrison maybe struggling a little bit for speed there in the lap-by-lap comparison at the bottom of your screen. A couple of tenths slower than McCacken on the previous lap. Obviously, don't count out Wilson as well, and all this do count out Harry Burgoyne Jr. with that 10-second time penalty. McCacken did have podiums in both of the opening 2 races of the season, and Finn Harrison really struggled. Got 0 points from the entirety of Alton Park, as here comes Wilson to the outside of Harry Burgoyne Jr., who I think has been made aware of his 10-second time penalty, relinquishes the position to the 27 black and white car of Wilson. Will move his way up inside the top 5.
Yeah, Burgoyne will know about his penalty now. He'll see it on the gantry and his pit board potentially, and we'll see absolutely no point in fighting the drivers around him, because all it will do is lose him time. He's effectively fighting drivers 10 seconds behind himself, which will be more like the area between Parmovsky and Templeton.
So he's still I mean, to be fair, the fact that he's still within 8th, realistically, with a 10-second time penalty is crazy. Here comes Palmovsky then to the inside, the yellow car there of Palmovsky, making the move on Dion Areen, and up now into 7th position. And to be perfectly honest, not a million miles away from the back of Chloe Grant as well. So there could be a very solid performance from Alicia Palmovsky, who did have a finish on the podium yesterday with a 2nd place finish.
Yeah, good result for Alicia last time out yesterday, and she's carving her way back through after a tricky start. We saw McCacken yesterday have a stall on the grid and come through to the top 10. McCacken looking from the outside to the inside, deciding against it because the circuit was wet on the inside. Once again, excellent defensive driving from Finn Harrison in the yellow car. He's shown that he can position that car very, very tactically. He did it yesterday, unfortunately, eventually losing out to Linus Granfors, and the same again this morning. But let's have a quick look at a replay between Marcus Luzio and Christian Lester. What happened? Oh, Lester just got on a damp piece of road and ran wide onto the Hamilton straight.
A bit of a shame for Christian Lester. Was actually running in 12th position in that. Marcus Lucio not quite having the same run as he did yesterday, of course, picking up that podium for a privateer entry. Absolutely incredible. 5 laps left to go, though, and 3.5-second lead for Linus Granfors. Definitely in position to take his 3rd consecutive victory. And he is faster than everyone by, is that half a second? Is that a second?
1.5 seconds.
It's a 1.5 seconds.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible. And he's just gone fast from the first sector by a half a second there.
Yeah, Linus Granfors is completely at one with that car at the moment. Half a second in the first sector alone on this lap. He pulls out ahead of Finn Harrison. Of course, helped by Harrison defending from McCacken, but still, that's an intimidating show of paces. It looks like actually Harrison might have braked a little bit late into the Vale corner there. Car squirming around, he turned in early, but managed to get it stopped just about. The car we're looking at, the number 89 there, grey and blue, KMR Sport driver of Brandon McCacken, just taking a moment's breather to size up Finn Harrison for another attack, because I know McCacken will be wanting to make amends for the mistake he made on the grid yesterday. He had the pace to finish on the podium yesterday, but unfortunately, with that stall, fell further down the order. Still a good drive back up the field to finish inside the well inside the top 10, but today he wants to get as high up the grid and onto the potentially the top step was where he want to be, but it looks like Granfors is probably a bit too fast for that today, but he'll want to be best of the rest in 2nd place, and it looks like he's going to continue to apply that pressure.
Yeah, of course, Finn Harrison there in that 2nd position, doing a great job, like you said, defending, going a little bit to make sure that the inside line was covered. It's all of that wet stuff on the inside line coming into Brooklyn, so there's no real move that McCacken can make on the inside of Brooklyn, so it has to be around the outside, which is always very, very risky anyway. So he's doing a great job of covering off the line, as here comes Megan Bruce trying to make a move potentially on Jack Taylor. This is the battle for, I believe, 10th position on the road.
Yeah, it is. It's Bruce is going up the inside, and it's going to be side by. So go on, Lewis.
I think it's lower. I think Jack Taylor's had a problem. He was running in 10th at the start of that, but I think he's actually dropped back to 12th.
And now Jack Taylor's holding it around the outside. There's going to be contact. Oh, that was close between Bruce and Taylor. But Taylor just holding off for now.
well, as they work their way out onto the start-finish straight. Again, it will be Jack Taylor then, so I think 12th position. So we clearly had an issue on that lap. Baxter's moved up to 10th position, then Lucio into 11th, and Taylor has moved down into 12th. Looking back at the fight for second position, Harrison, McCacken for second spot. Of course, McCacken there behind for third position. Then Harry Burgoyne Jr. with that 10-second time penalty. Then, of course, Wilson and of course, Chloe Grant. Palmowski not quite closing in on this group. 5 seconds is now the lead for Grand Force. Of course, older brother of Grand Force, one of our favourites, Hyold Grand Force, did finish his way up in second in the championship back in GB3 in 2022. Clearly, Linus is showing his pace and pedigree just as much. I mean, there's something in the blood there.
There's a lot of pace in the Granfors family is being exhibited, and clearly they gel well with the Fortec team as well. Of course, Linus racing for Fortec Motorsport, and Yoel did race for Fortec in GB3 a few years ago. I'm looking forward to this battle that we're looking at right now between Harrison and McCacken, continuing to build. The pressure that McCacken is putting on Harrison is mounting up and up as he's not relinquishing. He's barely within, he's pretty much within half a second and has been for the last few laps. Oh, hang on, McCacken's got a penalty. Yes, he has, for a false start as well.
There we go. So I did say that McCacken might have had one, but here he is going to go down the inside anyway. That is Brandon McCacken committed to the inside of the corner, and there is contact, and McCacken goes for a spin. Finn Harrison will hang on to second position, and McCacken, just after getting a 10-second time penalty for a false start, has dropped right the way down. Maybe an unnecessary move. We kind of saw that wet line on the inside. I am amazed that car is absolutely fine, because he hit the rear wheel of Finn Harrison's car, and sometimes that can pull off the rear wheel. We saw that even in the very first season with contact between Alex Walker and Nick Taylor.
Let's have a look at this again. Yeah, it just looked like that Brandon McCacken got on the inside, understeered into the side of Finn Harrison's car there, just on the wet line. It's unfortunate because he was alongside enough to justify a manoeuvre, but unfortunately with the circuit conditions as they were, he was just a bit ambitious, and the speed he carried into the corner. But I mean, I suppose he ended up coming off worse, so he basically took his own penalty, I suppose, unfortunately. But in the space of about 10 seconds, we noticed that there we have confirmation for the 10-second jump start penalty for Brandon McCacken, and also, of course, with that spin around, that's going to hurt his race result even more.
Yeah, indeed. So obviously Harry Burgoyne Jr. and Brandon McCacken for the KMR Sport team receiving penalties for jump starts. I did think there was one on the inside, which again must have been McCacken. I still feel then that maybe Marcus Lucio might have been a little bit close, but he might get away with it. Also a black and white flag, so a warning for track limit excursions for the car that's running currently in 6th position. That is Alicia Palmowski, who's just been caught just maybe exceeding the limits of track. If one more excursion on the circuit, then I think that'll be a penalty. We have 2 laps left to go once we've completed this one.
Yeah, so Palmowski pushing hard to make up the time she lost by stalling at the start of the race, doing an excellent job of making up that time, I must say. 6th position, she's at the back of this shot in the second of the yellow cars on the left-hand side of screen now, the number 21 with the black helmet, and she is almost completely on the back of Grant now. And actually, Lewis, you're pointing out to me that she set the purple fastest first sector of the race on this lap, and that is why she is catching this group so aggressively, but pushing so hard that she's leaving the circuit one too many times, and if she does it once more, she will be receiving a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, indeed. Now looking at the rear end of Chloe Grant as they head their way back out onto the start-finish straight. Chloe Grant running in 5th position in the number 66 KMR Sport car, the grey and blue car, of course. Alicia Palmowski just off the rear end of that in the distinctive bright yellow of Elite, the new livery for 2024. Don't count out in the middle of all of this, we've got Wilson as well, who's desperate to maybe sneak his way on the podium. And to be fair, legitimately, we might have a 10-second gap for the race lead. There is our race leader, Grand Force. 8.9 seconds. I think this race victory is going to be over 10 seconds.
If he continues the way he is, nearly a second and a half faster than everyone
Whoa!
else. Oh,
what has happened here?
That's
Is that Chloe Grant?
That is Chloe Grant. She had a spin on the entry of... Did she make it? Let's have a look. So we've got Chloe Grant side by side with Alicia Palmowski. Oh, so it looked like Chloe Grant was squeezing Palmowski because Palmowski was on her right-hand side. She delayed her turn in, and Palmowski wasn't expecting it, and that sent Chloe Grant fast across the grass, and she looks like she's beached in the gravel, and you can see that she is absolutely devastated with that.
Yeah, indeed, she is not a very happy girl. Again, we need to see that incident a few more times. Maybe we need to take a visit to Specsavers. I've not taken a look at that one, but either way, it's kind of one of those ones that's very hard to judge and to pick your way past. Like you say, your instinctive reaction is that there was a bit of a pinch there rather than maybe an aggressive lunge from Palmovsky. I would second that, but I'm not going to tell Chloe Grant that.
Yeah, we've only had one angle, to be fair, and it was from the side. So, you know, of course, the race director will have a look at that and decide whether whether there was any faults to be apportioned, whether it was Chloe or whether it was Alicia. But close racing regardless, and unfortunately it's left Chloe out of this race and also slowed down Alicia to the extent where she's going to struggle to catch the back of this group, of course, with Leon Wilson, the next car ahead of her, the number 27 that we can see in shot right now. And
they do have onboard cameras. Obviously we don't get them on our feeds because it's not for our purposes, it's more for judicial purposes and, you know, for the teams, for data, so they can investigate from that point of view, so they do have that extra angle as well.
They will, yes. The cameras, the little ears that you can see on the top of the car, just to the side of the air intake, is a camera that records the driver's hands and also where the car is, and they will look at both Chloe's onboard video and Alicia's onboard video, and they've got Rob Barth, who's a very, very experienced driver steward there. As they can see, they're trying to extract Chloe Grant's car and under double waved yellow, so the driver's just backing off a little bit through there. But they'll use all the information they have available to them, as well as probably the driver's own views of the situation to make a judgment on that. But unfortunately, you know, motorsport, when we're racing this close, occasionally contact happens, and luckily that incident caused no physical harm to anyone. Chloe clearly completely physically all right, and it's good that we can see Alicia can continue as well and hopefully try and close that gap to Wilson. But on this last lap, it's unlikely that she's going to be able to make inroads there.
Yes, indeed. The final run around the circuit, you'll have to catch up with Chloe Grant post-race, which I'm glad that it's you doing it and not me, because, like I say, I think she'll be most unhappy after that incident. Whether it was of her own doing or not, it doesn't really matter. She is out of the race and not scoring for any points in this one. Someone who will be is Grand Prix, who's leading so comfortably. Time has hit 0, 9 seconds clear. I don't think it will be 10, but 9 seconds clear and into the final second. Brandon McCacken has just set the fastest middle sector of the race in doing so. But do remember that Harry Burgoyne Jr. in 3rd and Brandon McCacken in 6th both have 10-second post-race time penalties. So expect those to drop their way down the order. McCacken down to 9th position, and of course Harry Burgoyne Jr. down to, I believe, it might be 6th position in the race. Linus Granfors, though, will come through the final corner and up towards the into the final turn at Luffield and out towards the line in that very, very distinctive helmet. It will be 3 consecutive victories for Linus Granfors. Absolutely incredible. The highest streak that we've ever had in GB4 is 4 races. That was Tom Mills last year. Could Granfors be on that streak now? Could he be making history? An incredible drive and an absolutely dominant performance. We have to wait a long time for Harrison to cross the line, and Finn Harrison does indeed do so, 7.6 seconds back, with Wilson taking the podium as well.
Yeah, after the penalties for Burgoyne and McCacken are applied, of course. There we can see Chloe Grant, unfortunately, having to walk back to the pits as the drivers come into the back of shot. But it's, yeah, a great victory from Linus once again, and actually a very clever drive. On the last lap, his first sector where we had that double waved yellows was actually a second and a bit slower than anyone else's. So knowing he had that buffer, he wanted to make sure that he didn't get a penalty for going too fast through that double waved yellow flag section. So clearly thinking while he's driving, and the pace was excellent. You can see that the fastest lap time set was actually by Luzio on that last lap. So Luzio found some pace towards the end of the race. I was about to say it was Granfors, but no, Luzio just pipped him by 1/100th of a second.
So yeah, another win then for Granfors. And again, do you remember that the 3rd race of the weekend that would typically be the reverse grid, we're not running at the moment. It's been postponed. We don't know what exactly is going to happen with that. So obviously you'll have to keep up to date on the GB4 social media. Obviously you can do so on Instagram or Twitter, or you can do so at gb-4.net, which is where you'll find all the information and latest news stories about the championship as to what's going to happen with that 3rd race. What it does mean, though, is because obviously the next time that we go racing, there could be, you know, Linus Granfors could take an extra victory, an extra couple of victories if he goes well at Donington Park. Maybe we could see that race win streak head up to 5.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Those are the last two drivers over the line. That is Hickey and Visser, of course. Grant not finishing the race after we saw that contact with Alicia Pomoski. And yeah, Linus Granfors is setting a very strong precedent for his pace at the moment. Waving to the crowd and the fans. Good to see that he's acknowledging also the marshals. Good effort this weekend, waving to them, because of course we can't go racing without our Orange Army.
Certainly not. As Granfors will head his way back into the pit lane. Can I just say, of all of the helmets that we've got in GB3 and GB4, Linus Granfors is by far my favourite.
Your favourite?
Absolutely.
It stands out, doesn't it?
I love that helmet.
Yeah, it's great. It's also interesting to how the different drivers have different helmet designs, and it's sort of something that they can have an influence on. I think Finn Harrison's actually got a Nigel Mansell inspired design, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, maybe we'll find out in about 10-15 seconds when he actually makes his way into pit lane, courtesy of how clear he was. Even a Swedish flag. Hang on, have we seen Kjol Granfors?
I don't believe he's here this weekend.
Wimp. Of course, I'd like to see Granfors back around the paddock with older brother of Linus around the paddock, just to kind of drop his head in, say hi, see what was going on. Obviously, he's been busy racing elsewhere. Maybe we'll see very much the same thing from Linus Granfors in years to come. As again, handshakes, hugs as well. Ollie Dutton straight over. Yeah, indeed. Again, what an incredible performance this weekend. 2 victories as well. Maybe even some. Is that frustration for Harrison, maybe? Yeah,
Harrison will be disappointed to not take the win, but he'll be happy to get a second place. Yep, still hugs all round. So, a solid weekend for Finn Harrison after what was a very, very tricky start to the season. But this weekend certainly belongs to that man right there, Linus Granfors. 2 wins in dominant fashion in difficult conditions. And there we have Leon Wilson getting a podium. Very, very happy with that. Good drive from him, from the solo driver from the Arden team.
Yeah, best finish for Wilson before this was 5th place. So an excellent one, 6th place even. So excellent for him to have improved onto the podium. And now we'll go and catch up with the trio that have made their way onto the steps with, of course, Chris McCarthy, who's down there.
Thank you, Piers. Yes, celebrations once again for Linus Granfors, 3 in a row for him, and with that he becomes the new championship leader. He's getting used to this celebration, he's been getting used to these chats. Linus Granfors, congratulations, 3 in a row now, and you become the new championship leader in the GB4 championship. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels great, of course. Yeah, it was a bit more chilly this race than the race before, but yeah, I'm super happy.
Great pace once again. I mean, like you said, a little bit more chilled out, but finding superb race with Vortec Motorsport. You absolutely ran away with that one.
Yeah, it was a bit slippery, out of stow especially, but the other corners of the track was dry. So yeah, I was just trying to push as hard as I could without just going off the track.
You certainly seem to be really enjoying this track.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks now, I think. So yeah, it's really good.
I'm sure you would have watched this track growing up. How does it feel now to have 2 wins around here?
Yeah, it feels really great, of course, and I hope it can be many more.
New championship leader, congratulations. On to Donington Park now.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see what kind of speed we have there, but I think we'll find some good speed there as well.
Congratulations, well done, Linus Granfors. Let's find our second place, Finn Harrison. First ever podium in the GB4 Championship. Wow, you had to work very hard, but more rewarding now it's come, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's definitely more rewarding that I had to fight hard for it. We were in with the podium at Alton every single time, and what happened. But yeah, it's good that we finally did it.
Oh, we'll save the spray for the podium, shall we? We were just getting some there. But we've had 2 really hard-fought races, haven't we? How has it been being in part of those?
Oh, it's been hard work. It's definitely kept me on my toes.
Tell us a little bit about building up to this race as well. I know it's been a long race, but to then get out there and get that podium, how's it felt?
Yeah, it feels good. We missed the morning race, so it's been a lot of way around, but to be there at the end of the day is very good.
Working with Elite Motorsport, when you came in, you had that moment with them. I'm sure working with Elite Motorsport, tell us how it's been working with them and now having this moment to celebrate with them.
Yeah, so far it's been really good. We've had a few downs at Olin, but other than that, it's been all ups and there. And really, this is my first proper round, so being able to celebrate P2 with them, it's not the win, but being able to celebrate P2 is definitely not better than being in the grass.
I think we can now move on to Donington and get one step further up the podium and push on.
It's definitely a big progress, so we're making good progress as we are now.
Anyone you'd like to thank, Finn?
I'd like to thank everyone who's helped put the car together, Ed especially, and my engineer Sarah, as well as my dad as well, who's been able to put it on the grid for me with the sponsorship and everything else. So yeah, I'd like to thank the entire team.
I'm sure we'll be seeing you back here, Finn. Congratulations, that was a superb drive, well done. Let's go and find Leon Wilson, 2 new visitors for the podium, and did it in some style. Wasn't the driver I was expecting to see down here, because it was Harry at one stage, but of course Leon Wilson, a hard-fought podium. Well done, sir, Leon Wilson. Congratulations, first visitor to the podium as well, like Finn Harrison. How does that feel?
Absolutely amazing. It's probably one of the best feelings I've ever had, to be honest. So, loved it.
I'm sure you would have watched drivers around this circuit in Formula One now coming into this famous pit lane podium area. I mean, it must be a dream come true.
Yeah, it is one of the big dreams, just hopefully trying to get up there to the first next time. Bring it even more. Brilliant weekend for us. Just had a bit of a struggle in race 1, but we come back strong.
Tell us about the race, in particular the closing stages. There was some really close racing, a big train of you at one point. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, at the start we had the wrong side of the grid, so we lost the tyre temp at the start quite a lot. So, but as soon as we got to the end and had a good fight with Harry, so that was really fun to get my racecraft up as well. So, 'cause I saw someone spin in front, didn't know what to do, and then me and Harry were just back and forth throughout the whole laps.
Working with the VRD Arden team, I know you're by yourself in that team this year. A lot of people around them. I'm sure there's some people you'd like to thank after what's been a lot of work coming into this championship this year to get this podium. Who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank the whole team and my family, especially my mum and dad, who have helped me through this a lot, and my sponsors to make it possible, Kingston Carton and Everquip Garage Company, just made it possible for this to happen, and I'm really thankful for it.
Leon, it's so impressive to see you on the podium so quick. I'm sure we're going to see you maybe a couple of steps up the podium very soon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done to Leon Wilson. He's going to get up those famous steps up the podium. George Russell once went up in the BRDC Formula 4 Championship just 10 years ago. Let's head back to the commentary for some reflection before we go to the podium celebration.
Certainly will, and plenty of reflection in that. Nick Taylor, 2022 GB4 champion, getting right in the way. Get out of it, son. Of course, as we'll get ready for our drivers to head up onto the podium. And again, what an excellent race it was. What a dominant performance it was, though, from Linus Granfors. 7.6 seconds clear. Realistically, it would have been 10. But as Piers was alluding to, a double waved yellow on that final lap was going a little slower through them, just to make sure that there was no chance of grabbing a penalty. What would have been a very silly penalty if you were to grab a penalty for speeding through that. So just rolling off the power an awful lot, losing a considerable amount of time comparatively to the rest of the field in doing so, just to make sure that he comes across the line and is all well and good to take that 3rd consecutive victory. We have had 3 consecutive podiums this season. That was Harry Burgoyne Jr. all 3 races at Alton Park, second and 3rd. But courtesy of the victory for Linus Granfors, Harry Burgoyne Jr. will relinquish his current hold at the top of the standings. Whether he'll gather it once more when we head back to Donington, we'll have to wait and see. Excellent performance, though, from Leon Wilson, up onto the podium for the very first time. Previous personal best performance was 6th place. Now manages to grab a podium. Finn Harrison also onto the podium for the very first time after an incredibly disappointing run back in Alton Park. Someone who didn't have an incredibly disappointing run at Alton Park is Linus Granfors, taking a 7th, a 4th, a victory, another victory, and of course adding to it another victory this season. Jonathan Palmer handing out the trophies once more. Leon Wilson first, then to Finn Harrison, and of course once again to the top step of the podium. To the main man himself. Linus Granfors, new championship leader in GB4. Can he hold it all the way to Brands Hatch? Well, I think that is easier said than done. Of course, there is championship contending stuff in the family, blood in the family, with Yoel Granfors, who did compete for the GB3 Championship a couple of years ago. Linus Granfors, though, looking even stronger right now. Let's go to highlights, though, for round 5 of the GB4 Championship. Highlights from the second race of the GB4 weekend saw Alicia Palmovsky stalling on the race start, was able to get back going again before she dropped back to the rear of the field. Finn Harrison, though, would hold the race lead down to the first corner, and we'd find out there was jump starts from Harry Burgoyne Jr. and Brandon McCacken going down into that first turn, so they would both receive post-race time penalties. They didn't know that at this point, and they were very deep in battle with Leon Wilson. Of course, for the race lead, Linus Granfors was really battling hard with Finn Harrison, almost a little bit of contact just going through that first turn, but a beautiful performance from the pair of them, an excellent racing ability as the lead would switch in favour of Granfors. Palmovsky was working her way back up the order. Meanwhile, there was indeed contact on this scenario. That was McCacken, a little bit down the inside of Finn Harrison, would go for a spin, would be able to get back going again, and would end up finishing in 8th position. Late in the race, though, there was this Chloe Grant being sent over the grass on the right-hand side going down to Magnus Beckers and Chapel after contact with Alicia Palmovsky. Race victory, though, would go the way of the number 16 for the third consecutive race. It is Granfors on top from Harrison and Wilson. Of course, an excellent performance there from Granfors. Truly impressive to have taken a third consecutive win. I don't know how many more wins we're going to see from him, but I can tell you probably won't be 3, as he took a victory by 7.6 seconds over Finn Harrison, who managed to beat out Leon Wilson for the first podiums for Harrison and Wilson. Palmovsky in 4th position. To be fair, excellent recovery drive from the stall on the grid. No safety cars to help her in that. She did that work all herself. Harry Burgoyne Jr. dropped back to 5th position with Brandon Templeton in 6th. Mehdi Noreen in 7th spot, of course, with McCacken, Baxter and Lucio rounding out the top 10. Slightly more disappointing performance for Lucio in that one compared to the excellent podium yesterday. Megan Bruce in 11th spot, Jack Taylor in 12th, with Christian Lester up in 13th position, Dan Hickey in 14th, coming across the line just ahead of Visser in 15th, and of course the retirement from the race late on being in the hands of Chloe Grant, and I know she'll be very disappointed. I wonder if Piers Pryor will be able to grab a word with her. To be fair, probably fairly unlikely. Taking a look at the points standing, of course, very provisional. Of course, you don't know what's going to happen post round 5 of the championship, whether race control will step in anywhere. But Linus Granfors takes over the lead of the championship on 134 points, 14 clear of Harry Burgoyne Jr. Alicia Palmovsky in 3rd position in the championship, 30 points now clear behind Linus Granfors. Brandon McCacken in 4th position with Brandon Templeton in 5th. Callum Baxter in 6th position, and of course Leon Wilson in 7th, moving up the order courtesy of that podium. Marcus Lucio in 8th position with Chloe Grant retiring from the race but still 9th. Finn Harrison working his way up the order bit by bit, now inside the top 10 of the championship on 50 points for the Elite Motorsports team, and was arguably one of the fastest drivers, if not the fastest driver at Alton Park. Finally he gets some decent results onto the board this season. We'll head down to Piers, though, who's in the paddock catching up with a few of our drivers.
As many as I can get. Yeah. Okay, so we're down here at the paddock. Everything is packing away. So unfortunately, our nice pretty banner is gone because everyone needs to get ready to go home. And we're going to grab a word with some of our drivers. I'm hoping to grab a word with Alicia Palmovsky in a second if she's available. She's right behind me, so maybe I'll just wander over and interrupt a chat. Is this? Sorry, guys. No, I'll give it 1 second. I don't want to interrupt the debrief with the engineers. Of course, Alicia had a tricky race there. It was all on the grid, came through the field really well. Chris McCarthy's still here, so...
why not come in?
Yeah,
Chris, we can have a chat.
Another good race, a bit of chopping and changing. Not quite as crazy as the race we had yesterday.
No, I mean, I got to say, what a performance from Linus Granfors. He's just superb around this circuit, isn't he? He's just absolutely nailed the formula of GB4 and Silverstone.
Yeah, and we know that Forte Motorsport car can be good around here. We've seen it with it many times, and I'm hoping I can grab a word with Alicia.
I'm going to be...
Why don't I grab a word? Alicia, a tricky race for yourself, because of course we saw, unfortunately, a stall on the... oh my goodness, we nearly got joined by a tripping man with the BRDC hat. Alicia, talk to us about that. What happened at the start? You managed to join the back of the group, but it didn't get away the way you wanted.
Yeah, not at all. I'm really frustrated myself. I'm not too sure what happened at the start. Obviously, we stalled, and I know at Alton Park I had an issue as well and stalled, but that was because I didn't put enough revs on with it being wet. I just misjudged how many revs to put on, whereas there I felt as though that was almost full throttle. So I'm really not sure what happened. So we're going to download the data and have a look what went on. Thank you. Yeah. See what went on, see what I need to do differently in the future, and understand what happened. But from there, I've got the mentality that the race isn't over till it's over. So I put my head straight down. Tricky track conditions, obviously. There's a dry line, but it was very, very slippery around the lights of Stowe. It was very, very difficult. So just got my head down, tried to learn as much as I could, and tried to make up as many positions as possible from there.
And that you did, fought back through the field and got onto almost the leading group. It was only Linus that was up in the distance. And yeah, if maybe a couple more laps and you could have got well within that fight for a podium. So a really good race. Clearly that Elite Motorsport car you had underneath you was working well today.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been quite a tough weekend actually. I was struggling quite a lot throughout testing on Thursday and Friday with the car. Just struggling with confidence really. It was quite oversteery. So the full credit to Elite Motorsport. They've been fantastic and worked so hard to get the setup for me, and that was the best the car actually felt in that race there. So it makes it a bit bittersweet because I know we could have potentially been fighting for definitely a podium and potentially a win. But you know, it's a learning experience, and I'll definitely make sure it doesn't happen again. So.
Well, of course, it's the GB4. It's your first season in Six and Wings racing. You're learning a lot with every weekend. I want to touch on a little incident we saw in the race. We've only seen it once during the race, where you came together with Chloe Grant. Unfortunately, Chloe ended in the gravel. She's fine, of course. But just tell us from your perspective what you think happened.
Yeah, I mean, really unfortunate. Obviously, none of us ever want to come together. I haven't seen it back, so I'm sure it'll go to the Clarks. But from my perspective, I got a really good run on Chloe coming on the exit of Cops. Got alongside her. Sorry, just whacked you then. Okay. And she started squeezing me towards the right-hand side. We started clashing wheels a little bit. I was fully over to the right-hand side of the circuit, so I couldn't possibly give her any more room. And then I feel as though as we started to turn left, she almost stayed straight and seemed as if she came over on me a little bit. So I'm sure it wasn't intentional at all. It certainly wasn't from my side. And just an unfortunate coming together that ended her race. But I'm sure it'll go to the Clarks and we'll see what the outcome is.
Absolutely. Well, thanks very much for letting us in on that. I'll let you go and get warm because it's nice and it's freezing out here, so don't get cold. We've got a queue of drivers. Why don't we get Brandon Templeton? Brandon, yeah. Or which Brandon do we want? Why don't we get Brandon McCacken first?
I have a plane to catch.
Oh, if you've got a plane to catch, we'll chat to you. Brandon, yeah. Great race, great pace. Couldn't quite get that second position.
Yeah, pace was there. Obviously, it was dump offline. Was trying not to take too much risks. In the end, I went for it. Didn't pay off. To be honest, I wouldn't have given me any more room if I was in fence position. So, is what it is. Again, look, it's hard to be getting here on the track, so it's a hard one to take. But at the same time, can't afford to sit with my head in the gutter. Have to be back to work in the morning and make sure I'm here at Donington next time.
Absolutely, a great race from you. You had great pace all weekend. Unfortunately, didn't get to show it. Your results didn't match your pace, I think, this weekend for one reason or another. But we hope to see you back at Donington Park. Should you come back, do you think that a good result's possible?
Definitely. Well, without a couple of simple, fixable mistakes, like especially on the starts, without them, it could have been a couple of firsts, couple of seconds. Given the pace, definitely, yeah. So all we need to do is make sure I'm here at Donington, have good test days, and yeah, just don't make them again. I have a good feeling we're still in the hunt for the championship. Should I get the chance for the year, still in a good position. We should still hopefully be leading the teams championship, so that's always good. Hopefully keep that going, and yeah, be in the podium at Donington hopefully.
Brandon, we hope to see you there, and keep up that fight. It'd be good to see you back. I'll let you go and catch that plane, so I don't want you to miss it. Cheers, Brandon. Why don't we get Mayor Dion Areen? Mayor, first time we've chatted on camera. You've chatted to a lot of other people, but talk to us about your race. You were in a good fight there for at least the first half.
Yeah, well, I started 9th, and at the start I noticed I had a dry line. The inside row was a bit damp, so I was trying to get the best start I possibly could and make up as many spots at the start. It went pretty well. I noticed that there was a dry line forming. Going through Stowe, though, on the apex there was a bit of water. So first lap, a couple of people went wide. I capitalized on that and just kept pushing through the race, trying not to make any mistakes, and ended up in a pretty good 7th spot. So it was a good race overall. A good race, and you're ever stepping closer and closer to the front of the field where I know you want to be. What do you reckon you can do between now and Donington, or maybe at Donington, just bridge that gap even closer to the front? Yeah, well, in between now and Donington, there'll be a lot of sim training, there'll be a lot of gym work, just making sure, obviously I'm the smallest driver here, and I know I need to probably be a little bit more fit to be with the fast guys, and I know I have to work a lot harder than what I'm doing now to be able to win.
Well, it's great that you know what you need to do, and I'm sure that you'll get on with it, so we'll see those muscles bulging by the next round, I'm sure. Thank you so much for chatting to us. We'll let you head on off, and we'll grab our next driver, I think, Callum Baxter. Callum, another one of our Canadian drivers with the G. Graham Brunton racing team. Callum, talk to us about your race.
Yeah, it was a very fun race. I had a pretty good start until up into Stowe. I think it was pretty damp there, so everyone kind of went wide, and I was forced to go wide because of that. And yeah, after that I just had some pretty good battles. Unfortunately, I in those battles, I lost a lot of time to the cars in front. So once I kind of cleared the cars I was battling with, it was really just about getting up to speed, but not enough time to catch any of the other cars.
No, yeah, of course, the race is only 18 minutes long, so not a lot of time once you've had a bit of a battle. But just talk to us about. We missed a race, unfortunately, here at Silverstone. Maybe we'll get it back later in the year, but it must be awesome to drive these GB4 cars around Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, of course, on the Formula One calendar for decades. Talk to us about what it's like to do that.
It's awesome. Just like grew up watching it on TV, and now I'm here racing on it. Really kind of take it for granted sometimes. So at the end there, I was just really enjoying it the last couple laps, knowing that I'll be back, but just trying to enjoy it.
Amazing. Callum, thank you so much for chatting to us after the race. We'll let you get back to your team and enjoy the rest of the evening, and we'll see you hopefully back the next time out. And why don't we grab word with Bas Visser. Bas, that was we saw on the warm-up lap you were trying very hard to get some temperature in the tyres and a little spin, but you managed to sort of refocus and then got back on him with it in the race.
Yeah, I've managed to get back. Just a little spin on the formation lap. I was warming the tyres, so just little just 60. It was okay.
It was okay. Car was fine, and you got back going again. Your first race weekend in the GB4 Championship. Just tell us what it's like to be in this series, racing here in these cars and at Silverstone.
It was just a quite good opportunity to be here and just learning this year, this season also for the GB4. Maybe I will get in there. So it was quite good. So to learn it.
And will we see you back again in the GB4 Championship?
I hope so.
I hope so. Amazing. Final word. Donington up next. If you are going to be joining us, then that would be great. Is that a circuit you've driven up before, or would it be your first time?
I've driven in Donington. Yeah, I've driven it. I just love that corners, and just looking forward to be there.
Well, Bas, we'll let you get home. You've probably got to go back to your home country, so enjoy your trip back, and I hope you enjoyed this weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Chris McCarthy, let's round out what has been a really interesting, disrupted but excellent weekend of racing.
Yeah, Linus Grand Force dominating the weekend here. Just to 2 races, of course. We'll look to reschedule the other one. But now we move on to Donington Park, 26th, 28th of May, which should be fantastic. Jonas is going to be back with us for that one. Very quickly, thoughts ahead of Donington Park?
Oh, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see how these GB4 cars continue their excellent racing at Donington Park, which is one of the best circuits in the UK.
A bit of a wait for them, but as you've seen from the racing this weekend, it will be worth it. From myself, Chris McCarthy, Pierce Pryor, Lewis McGlade, Naomi Newman, and all the rest of the team, we will see you at Donington Park. For now, though, from all of us, it's goodbye.